Hello, hello, hello. Sorry, we are a couple minutes late, but we are here. Hello, everyone. Hey, from California. I'm from California.
Woo.
All right. Dun, dun, da, da. The royal wedding is here.
Yes.
I have like a quick 15-ish second intro. We'll let the room load a little bit and we'll see you guys in just a few seconds.
Hello, my children!
So as long as you guys aren't cousins, you guys can get married.
Yeah, but he's my first cousin. Right. So you have your cousins, and then you have your first cousins, and then you have your second cousins. No, honey.
Love it.
All right, I don't know if you guys can see, but I found the Till Death Do Us Party sweatshirt on Amazon. I am tricked out in an Amazon special tonight.
There you go.
James is bringing back the beanie. If I shriek in terror at any time during this live stream, it is because there is like an apocalyptic storm happening. So if I shriek, that is why.
Okay. Wow. If I shriek, it's because my top hat is too tight on my head.
There you go.
I have a really big head too. I cannot. This actually is a little tight. I'm probably going to have a headache. We told you, James, you're handsome in the beanie. Now every video has the beanie.
Yep.
Until I cut my hair.
If someone tells me I look good in something, I'm definitely going to be wearing that. Like
yeah. So I was saying Scooby-Doo, right? Just every episode.
Yeah. So overall thoughts.
I think the fans have been so hyped for this wedding for so long that for me, I was like, oh, okay. There was a lot of high moments, but maybe it's just because I sometimes put so much time into my edits, but I was like, I wanted like a little bit more editing magic. But I was excited to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that it was well done. I will say this: there were based off of the normal sister wife construction of the way they usually do the shows, there was far less cussing, and there was like because normally Cody will say something like every 5 minutes and just kind of keep it rolling between him and Robin. Whereas this one, it was a lot more relaxing. You got to see a lot more love and appreciation between the family members, a lot more bonding as opposed to like the backstabbing, crap talking that we normally get when Cody and Robin are on the screen. So I was very excited about that part of it.
I felt like Cody and Robin were absolutely unnecessary.
Yes.
A poor tree had to die just to make this episode. My husband was like, why are they chopping down a tree? And I was like, I don't know. Are they making paper from scratch? I don't know.
I think that they want people to talk about why are Cody Robin in the wedding special? And that's why they put Cody and Robin in the wedding special.
I will say, though, for me, I mean, Robin looked miserable per usual. But Cody, in his like done up interview, I didn't hate him. I thought he was a little more gracious towards Christine. He didn't come in hot with like, she's like the devil or whatever. I've also been watching Natalia Grace. So if you guys have seen that, the husband, the dad, the adoptive father calls his ex-wife evil. Like EVIL, and she's earned every letter. And so I'm like, I hear Cody saying that about Christine too, but I thought he was decent. What did you think, James?
Well, actually, I was watching it. To be honest with you, I had kind of a slightly different perspective. I'll say this: I think Cody, he came off better than he normally does. I agree with you there, but I think the reason why is because he's still trying to rehabilitate his image. And he recognizes that there are going to be new people who are watching the show. So he's trying to come off like this understanding guy who can now, enjoy just, we're all just a group of couples and we're just enjoying life. And that's not what's happening, because the same time they were filming this, he was calling them crap sister wives, and he was referring to Christine as like this horrible person who's stealing his kids away, and he can't have a family because of the evilness that these women are putting them through. So I'm not buying any of it. Cody, you got a lot more work to do if you're trying to win me over, Playboy. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm with Papa Smurf. The chat, y'all were accurate with that. I didn't buy it. I think you run my legs over and then you punch me in the face and then you shove me to the ground and then you spit on me and then you call me all the worst names in the world and then you're like, it's all good now though. I'm at a better place now. I'm still gonna be like, okay, well, the classic in Cody's terms, I just did what I don't know what you call it, but for the listeners, but yeah,
the full salute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think he probably had PR coaching that he actually listened to. So, I mean, we've seen Mary do, people are like, don't let him fool you. I get fooled easily. And see, like, recency bias is a very real thing with Mary. Mary is winning me over. But she has done some messed up stuff in the past. And, I think in this episode, specifically in that scene, I thought that Cody was decent. The whole, if David's digging on her, really, I was like, oh, that's weird. But other than that, I know you guys are like, seriously, Sarah?
The chat has turned on you.
You guys are roasting me, so I'm just gonna shut up now.
No, I get where you're coming from, and a lot of people on social media are agreeing with you, Sarah. But for me, I just see somebody who, when he got a favorite, he which you're not supposed to do in polygamy, you're not supposed to favor one wife. He still to this day has never admitting like, oh yeah, I favored Robin, and I am all at least mostly at fault. I don't see him ever saying that, and so I can't get on board with his like PR politeness.
Well, because I think that I agree with you, and I think that there's 2 points to be made in that. One, it's hard, like, as much as he's talking about, because now he's doing the whole, oh well, I was wrong. Well, he never says he's wrong. That's part of the problem. We were in a bad situation. It was a miserable time. It was rough for everybody, but I'm hoping that they're happy. I'm hoping that he likes her. So on the first part, it's not that, I recognize that Christine is going to be happy because she found a man that she's completely into. He's completely into them. They're totally in love with one another, and they're going to be happy. He says, I hope that they will be happy. I hope that he likes her as much as he says. I hope that that's kind of to me, that's kind of a backhand comment, because it pretends as though it sounds like you're wishing them well, but in essence, you're questioning whether they actually have what they have. The second part of it is, if he's going to actually try to apologize or try to seek some kind of repentance for this, part of that repentance is you have to, it's not enough for you just to say sorry, because he reminds me of like when you have two kids that get in an argument and you tell them, cut it out, stop it, hold hands, shake his hand, and you guys say sorry. He reminds me of those kids. Neither one of them kids is sorry. They still angry as hell. They were fighting. If you walked away right there, they would start fighting again. Mm-hmm. But they have to do what they have to do. And I kind of get that feeling from Cody. And if he actually wants to be apologetic, he actually wants to repent for these ladies, then not only apologize, but how about start by equally dividing up Coyote Pass? Or at least sign Coyote Pass over to him. Look, ladies, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I realize I messed you up. I did the wrong thing. Let me start by doing this. And then start doing real things. A bunch of talk don't mean nothing. Especially if you're walking away with the booty. So I'm just saying.
Not the diesel booty, the money booty.
Right.
Don't confuse it.
Stephanie, thank you. Christine is beautiful. David sounds like a muppet. Did you notice this episode painted Cody in a decent light? But Robin, not so much. Robin looked real miserable. Probably like, I have to be part of this episode contractually or something. And our bit is we're outside. She probably didn't want to be outside. And we're chopping down a tree and talking about Christine, her favorite subject. So yeah.
Yeah, she's really she's like, "Yep, I got him. I got him." You know? Did
I
you really want
win.
him? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Kika Lika, this is perfect. I love how everyone says Cody, Christine and David are perfect because they're both the life of the party. Cut to Robin and Cody trying so hard to be happy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it seemed very fake, very rehearsed to the class. It's now classic for Robin to like shut Cody up physically with her hand and the go away while we kiss. I mean, that wasn't romantic. I don't know what it was supposed to be.
It was eyes open. I've seen the screenshots circulating and
Yeah.
it's creepy. It's weird. It's like, it's not even watching your own parents make out. It's like being at your friend's house and their parents start making out. It's like, I am so uncomfortable right now. I don't know what to do with myself. Like, what?
Well, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, like, even with that, it kind of feels like, because you want to have that, the whole thing with reality shows is that you want to have kind of that in the living room feel to them. So when they're doing that, could you imagine yourself in a situation where you're sitting there with a couple and the two of them start kissing and one of the people starts looking you in the face as they're kissing the other person? Like, how freaked out would you be? Like, oh my God. And they like hard looking you in the face, like, hey now, what the shit? Like,
You know what it was? It was like she was trying to see that the camera was still like on them, catching them. And it was
right.
just really, it was totally disingenuous. It was, ugh.
Yeah, it was disgusting. But I will also say this too. One of the things that I noticed was when you look at the interaction that David and Christine had versus Cody and Robin, the two, like you put both of them side by side, you have Christine and David happy and genuinely happy to be around each other, excited to be around each other. Then you see the other side where they're just miserable around each other. And you would think that, like, again, Cody, you got what you wanted. This is what you've always said you wanted. Robin, this is what you worked for. So you should be excited. You should be ecstatic. You finally have the thing that you ruined lives so that you can have this relationship. And now it seems like you're miserable in that relationship. And it reminds me of and I've done this comparison before, but it reminds me of the Christmas party that they had where you see Janelle and Christine and their kids get together. They're out there having snowball fights at the little rental place. And it's not a big house. It's a nice size house, but it's not a big, huge, beautiful, lavish place. But they had the time of their lives, and you can see they genuinely enjoyed each other. Then you have the other side of it where you have Cody and Robin sitting in this big old house with presents everywhere. They got motorcycles that they're giving to the kids, and everybody should be having a great time, and they all look miserable. So it just like between the two of them, I like it. Well, I won't say I like it, but just from the artistic side of it, I appreciate the difference between the two experiences. And just watching how, like, having a bunch of things and having a bunch of nice stuff doesn't necessarily make your life. It's the company you have those things with, and the people you share those experiences with, not just the experiences themselves.
Definitely. Definitely. Tina says, Sarah, I think Cody was medicated. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe.
I just
That'll
watched
be back
Beverly
on.
Hills Cop the other day. A classic. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, can we discuss McKelty comparing her marrying a guy nobody knew within months at, 20? Yeah, she was about 20. To Christine being an adult, knowing what she wants. It's not hypocritical, and it's also not about you. There is a huge difference between, I think, getting into a relationship in your 50s and in your barely out of being a teenager. I think there's
To be
a
fair,
difference
Christine
between-
acts like a teenager sometimes after getting out of
Fair.
polygamy.
Fair, and there
Right.
were several moments during this episode where it was like, "Oh, Christine, you're 50, girl."
Slow
I
it
also
down
think
now. Yeah.
I think they wanted to push McKelty's wedding back because of Maddie's wedding too.
Mm-hmm.
There was
What was it?
logistical issues also, and it's just I ran into this with my brother too. My brother is 15 months older than me. He started dating his now wife. Everyone loved her. She's a family friend. Totally welcomed with open arms. Everyone, loved it. They're still married to this day. I have 2 nieces. Before I met my husband, and my brother got married at 22 and is still married. So it's not to say you can't get married young and it won't work out. But when I was in my early 20s, I was dating idiots. And I was an idiot. I was an idiot dating idiots. I was bringing home some real winners that my family was like, WTF, like, this ain't it,
Right.
girl. And they let that be known. And it, made me feel a type of way like, why do you guys, my brother can bring home my sister-in-law and that everyone loves her, but I bring home whoever my boyfriend was at the moment, and no,
They Rex, the motorcycle leader.
yeah, and then everyone loves my husband now, but it was different, and it was okay that it was different. Oh
No, you definitely. If I get married at 20, I'm trapping some poor straight man into a marriage with a lesbian. So yeah, I'm the same. Like I needed to grow up,
Was like, gotcha. but see, I think that there's also the part of the logistical portion of it, the production side of it, where Maddie's wedding was being paid for by TLC. No cap. So Maddie's wedding is being paid by TLC. TLC is not going to pay for another wedding, like 2 weddings in one season, especially if they, because if you look at how they did the production, they stretched it out into the next season and they were able to have McKelty's wedding in that next season and pay for it and have it all done. So realistically, if McKelty wanted to get married so soon, then you would have to pay for it. Vis-a-vis with Christine, there's a strong possibility that, TLC probably kicked in a good amount of money so that they could have the wedding and they could tape it. But David probably paid for a good portion of it as well. So if you're paying for the wedding, you get married whatever you want. You're an adult. Mm-hmm. And so that's where she had she wasn't getting married under her own volition. She was asking Cody and the sister wives to pay for the wedding. That's a little different.
Tony was like saying, like, why can't you guys just take out a second mortgage?
Yeah.
Why can't you just have all your 18 million kids give blood every week and sell your houses and all your cars, which maybe he could sell the sports car, but
yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, even then, like, why don't you take out mortgages for your house? They were already in financial straits, and they were in, I kind of had my suspicions about how they financed those homes, which wouldn't have been conducive with them taking out equity loans so that they could pay for a once in a lifetime event.
And their wedding, I don't know how many people were at. The numbers was giving me anxiety. So Christine had over 300 people, she said, at her wedding. I don't know how many people were at Maddie's wedding, but Tony and McKelty were like, we had 450 people at our wedding. That gives me anxiety.
Right.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. Because during my live, I had said, like, I gave a piece of advice that was given to me when I was a young dude. Mm-hmm. And it was an older woman who gave it to me. I still see her face when she said it. She said, look, basically, if you're going to get married, consider your guest, because everybody gets excited about it. They want to invite everybody ever knew, the kid they knew from 3rd grade, but they don't speak anymore. Like, you only invite people if you're willing to go out and buy them an expensive meal. Like, if you're going to take them to the expensive meal, most expensive restaurant in your town, and you have no problem with picking up the check for them to be able to eat there, that's your wedding guest. If you say, no, I would never do that, I'm not taking this person to McDonald's drive-thru, like somebody said, I wouldn't take them to a McDonald's drive-thru and let them order a Happy Meal, then they're not on your wedding guest list. You know what I mean? Because you have to look beyond just the day. Because if you get caught up and spend all your money, like I knew somebody, another story I told was I knew somebody who spent $120,000 on a wedding. After the wedding, the honeymoon and everything was said and done, had a beautiful wedding, beautiful event, obviously $120,000, ridiculous. Beautiful event, crazy honeymoon in Bali, came back, and they moved into his mom's basement. Like they didn't have a place to stay. The crazy part is when they got their divorce, the debt from the wedding was part of their divorce decree. So they had to split up, like figure out how to split the money up. So you don't want to do that to yourself because you're putting yourself behind, like right when you're getting started in your life, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. So that's just
but James, until you fall in love with an Indian girl and then you're paying for a week of wedding, but it's the funnest wedding you'll ever be to in your whole life.
Yeah. I've seen a few of them. Yeah. I'm like, you bought a house.
Not. I'm like,
people spend millions. Like, people who aren't millionaires will spend millions of dollars on their wedding.
Yep. And the crazy part is, the second you walk into the florist, the baker, you walk into the reception hall, the photographers, the second you say wedding, all of a sudden everything is times by 300%. So when you like, oh, how much is this cake? $20. Oh, but yeah, because I want to use it for my wedding. Oh, I'm sorry, 20? I'm at 350. How many people do you have coming? Like all of a sudden you get crazy. I'm telling you.
It's S. Bailey, thank you so much. We are funding ourselves a wedding over here. Slowly but surely.
We're going to have to pay for Janelle's wedding if she ever does get married. She's not shelling out.
No. Victoria, so excited y'all are here. Thank you, Victoria. We are excited to be here.
Right.
That was a closed mouth, zero passion kiss, and she was looking at her audience, uncomfortable. Second thought, does anyone think Cody looks like he could be from the movie Deliverance?
Wait, remind me of Deliverance.
I don't think I've seen Deliverance.
Oh, okay. Is it a
Deliverance was like it had like a Burt Reynolds in it, like a young Burt. So it's an old movie. And it's go out in the woods. And one of the most memorable parts was they get out and one of the guys gets assaulted, we'll say.
Okay.
And he like squeal like a pig. So it was terrible. It was a horrible situation.
Oh.
Hold on one second. I just like this person's username. I literally ran home as fast as I can from work so I could catch this. Diet Coke addict, you and me both. It's what's in my my cup.
Nice.
Oh, yikes on Deliverance.
Yeah.
Big question. Will TLC pay for any of the divorces? If they're paying for weddings, divorces can be even more expensive.
Right. Well, divorce is you on your own.
Yeah, what are they going to pay for? Like Robin's attorney?
Well, I guess what they're paying for now is sending producers or maybe multiple iPhones to different locations. It's not all just at one house anymore. So they've upped their production budget. If they go from 1 to 2 iPhones, they've doubled their production budget. So.
Well, that's another thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say that's another thing why she might have been a little disjointed, why Robin might have been a little disjointed, is because with reality shows, you only get paid for the episodes that you appear in. And there's also a stratification as far as if you're the star of the show. So Christine and David, if they contracted with them, they would get paid more than anybody else on the show. And then it would kind of scale down from that point. And because Robin and Cody basically they're not even co-star, they're doing like a guest star spot. So it's a lesser position. So they not only are they not getting that big check from being on these 2 specials, and they don't have a special themselves, which I'm sure is driving them crazy. Like, we should have our own special to celebrate our love. I'm sure they're upset about that. But in addition to that, they're getting less money than they would normally get for doing an episode. And this is, hey, quiet as kept. This is the trial run for the spinoff show with Christine and David.
Mm-hmm.
So how
This
do
is
you
their trial
think
run.
it's going if this is a trial run through one episode?
Well, depending on, it's based on numbers. And so there's been a lot of interest. There's been a lot of viewership. So they might get greenlit. Like as long as the second one's the numbers hold for the second one, I think the show will get greenlit. You know,
I'm interested personally to meet more of David's family. The revelation that he has two sisters living polygamy in Mexico when they and this is not I'm sure not related at all, but the docu-series that just came out about the LeBaron group and on Hulu, and they were all down there in Mexico. I wonder if there's any crossover there. That was Christine's great uncle. That was like the Mormon Manson, they called him or whatever. So I'm very interested to learn more about David and his family.
Yeah, it might be deeper in the mix than anybody suspected before. Because a lot of those groups, when they split it off, they started to go to Wyoming, Utah, and then they did have a large group that left the states and went down into Mexico. And I think that, like you said, they're part of that group. So I don't know. I hate to think, like, it's so weird because you played the intro. You talked about like the kissing cousins thing and everybody being related. It would be kind of crazy to me if like somehow David and Christine are some kind of relation. Like that would be nuts.
Well, I mean, McKelty has said on her Patreon that the only way to guarantee not marrying your cousin in polygamy is to leave polygamy.
Right.
There are the Kingston clan, which is a separate denomination or a separate sect of polygamy that was heavily featured on Escaping Polygamy, that show. They encourage interbreeding or whatever you call it because they are interested in keeping the bloodline pure. It's super eugenics and real problematic stuff. They actually
be pure, all right.
test or do genetic testing on people before they get married to make sure that they're not so related as to cause birth defects.
Wow.
But Aspen and Mitch are like third cousins.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. Christine is cousins in some, I don't know what kind of cousin, to Preston Jessup, Robin's ex-husband. Gwen has always said that she made the joke that they are her biological siblings, even though they're her step siblings. They're biologically related to Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. All of Christine's kids are.
Right.
It's a family wreath.
That's some wreath.
Yes.
Bless them. There you go. Bless your heart.
Yeah. 70s girl says all of them are bat crap crazy. God, I love this show. Someone else's drama for once. Isn't it nice when it's not your drama?
That's why
these shows are so popular, right?
Yeah, because we go home and we're like, well, at least I'm not marrying my third cousin who just divorced my ex-husband and then I'm taking on, like our lives seem pretty good compared to these people.
Exactly.
It
makes the family reunions uncomfortable too. So
yeah. I literally was on Thumbtack looking for a person to help me organize because my like pantry, my closet, it's all a mess. Anyways, and then an episode of Hoarder comes on, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing so bad.
Was it Robin?
Could be better, but could be worse. And I'm suddenly not feeling so bad about myself, That's why we watch these shows.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Tiffany says Cody has the same scratch on his face during this episode that he had at the tell-all talkbacks. I did not notice that, actually. So we know that the
Yeah.
talk back part 2, I think, or one of them when we saw one of the scene clip things was October 2023. Actually, that would make sense because Christine got married October 7th. So
Right.
that would track that it would be around the same time. What did you guys think about Robin and Cody both being in black? They kind of looked like they were in mourning a little bit.
They're mourning the loss of their family. I love my family so much. I gave them so much. I sacrificed the sacrifices I made. But I think that when rubber meets the road, the saddest part of this whole experience is that, like, at least for me, is that I'm happy Christine went through this because she came out on the other side and it looks like she's in a better place. The sad part is that it took so long for them to get to the other side. And it's to me that's kind of sad because they spent so much time investing in people who didn't value their presence. So they invested a lot of time, energy, effort, a lot of the love, the patience that they poured into this situation, hoping it would get better, and then it never turned out the way they hoped it would for them. So that's kind of the sad part. As far as Cody and Robin are concerned, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't feel bad for him at all. Like I just, it's hard for me, and I'm trying to be a good person about it. I'm like, oh, I feel bad they lost and they're upset, but I don't really. And if I'm going to be honest about it, I think that a lot of the reason why they're in the situation they're in is because they had short-sighted attention span when it came to the family, and they didn't try any maintenance. They wanted to keep the family, but they didn't want to do anything to maintain the family. Cody could have kept Rob. I mean, if you were to think about it, if Cody would have went to Isabel's surgery a couple years ago, had he just said, you know what, the hell with it, I'm going to take a week, I'm going to go to the surgery with her, Christine, there's a possibility Christine would still be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just one thing, Christine might still be sitting up there with him. So that to me, that's the scary part. And that's probably something that Cody is thinking about. If I'd have just took 5 damn days, I could have saved my family and my bank account. So
Probably bank account is probably
yeah.
this is what he's kicking himself over.
Yeah, there was somebody in the chat earlier with NYC who was saying like they didn't buy. I know I always say this every week. I still don't quite buy that they're like that upset. I think that they want us to feel sorry for them and to see them as like, Robin says she's been voted off Brown Island when Cody picked her as his favorite. And I think that she's always kind of interested in that narrative. I do think, though, deep inside, she's sad. So it's like kind of both.
Kika Lika says, what was with the focus on David being called stepdad? He is their stepdad and nobody is forcing the issue. Call him what you want. Let's remember Robin forcing her kids to call Cody dad before even being married. This was an interesting plot point that I thought was heavily producer driven. Amanda, what did you think?
I was going to say, I think we saw that because they split the wedding special into 2 parts and it probably should have been 1. And when I think about the highlights of this episode, there are a lot of great moments, but a lot of them were shown in the trailer and the sort of roller coastery excitement you want an episode. I'm thinking it's going to be there for part 2. Well, we didn't really come down any fun hills in this part 1. And so I think they gave us that. I totally agree with you, Sarah. I'm sure it was some producer saying, we need something to talk about. We can't just show an hour of you curling each other's hair.
Right. Well, I mean, you know what? And when we talk about like I said before with the production side, I do think that the show would get greenlit. But one of the challenges that this type of show will have is that it'll be a feel-good show. And you don't have a lot of the combativeness that you have when you have like a Robin or a Cody, they're just throwing bombs through the window. So with David and everybody kind of loving on each other, and they spent the whole time basically, David is awesome, he's amazing, oh, they're so in love, and like the love of my life. And if I'm gonna be honest, because I'm a little older now and I'm probably way more cynical than I should be, it kind of starts driving on me a little bit when they keep saying he's the love of my life. and they keep professing the love, because part of me is like, okay, that's awesome at first, but then when you keep doing it repetitively, I start to question, like, how deep is it? Is it real, or are you trying to convince yourself, or are you trying to convince me that that's what it is? And so it gets kind of like, for me, it gets a little not sketchy, but I just like at first I was like, all right, and then after they kept saying it, I was like, okay, all right, So I
Don't
don't know,
tell
that's
us,
kind of where I'm at
show
with it.
us, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the episode was missing. Is I've been having this itch, and the itch is I didn't get to see Christine date. Fine, she already has the man. Well, show them together alone. Have them go out, a week. Send a camera crew for like a couple of days, a week before the wedding, or a month before the wedding, so we can see what they're like one on one. We've still never seen them in a organic environment alone. I totally agree. Show us. It's like the basic number one rule in improv. Don't tell us in a talking head. Show us.
Right.
I think also I have the feeling that now we're going to go back in time for season 19 and we're going to see that. I wonder why they decided to, one, make her wedding a special versus maybe like the season finale. And two, why they decided to do it as this like inter season special when on the show we haven't even met David yet. And now they're, I mean, of course, in real life, we all know that she was engaged and got married and everything. But like, if we're keeping a timeline in the show, it's like it has thrown everything out of whack, and it's going to be weird because you're right, Amanda. It's like all of a sudden we're here to her getting married and we know nothing of the lead up. We know she lied to her kids about how long she's known him. We don't know very much.
Yeah, well, part of why we were interested in the earlier marriages with Maddie and with Caleb and with even with Tony and McKelty is we got to know these people before they got married, and there was like tension, there were stakes, and there was question marks. And with David, it's just sort of there's nothing to question. We don't know anything. We've just seen him in a polite 5-minute interview segment.
Right. Well, because I think that, like, even from the side of what you said, I think it's a really important point that both of you are making with regard to we don't have the buildup of the character. And what's concerning to me now that I think about it is that it puts it very much in line with the way Robin and Cody are filming their segments, where you just get a small taste of some issue that's going on, but you don't see the day to day. And part of the loss, it's kind of like if you're writing a script or you're doing any kind of play or television show, if you want to get somebody laughing, you get them crying. If you want to get them crying, you get them laughing first. And so if you want to see somebody really happy, we saw her suffer, but we also want to participate in the happiness, the part of the happiness to where she's, got the person that she wants. Now, with all that being said, like we want to be, obviously the three of us and everybody who watches the show wants to be involved with every step of the way. I understand why David and or Christine may want to protect their relationship, because the weight of a lot of eyes on any relationship can crush it before it even gets a chance to get started. So I'm a little, I get it, but as a fan, I would like to see more, but I just understand that they might want to try to hide things back more because like, why is David talking to her like that? You get in an argument or something and you say what you say, and all of a sudden, David's a jerk. He's just like Cody. Next thing you know, he's riding that out. So I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tracy says, I loved Christine's father. It was so interesting seeing him. I wonder, are we going to see, because we never saw Christine's family except for her mom really in the series before. And now in season 18, we met some of her brothers. We met her sister, who, by the way, totally seems like an adult version of Truly. She was wearing that like wolf shirt that had like moons or planets on it. And I was like, this is probably the adult version of Truly.
There was some interesting fashion tonight because one of the daughters also was wearing just like a giant tiger. I don't know if it was like Aspen or McKelty.
Oh, I forget. You know what? The girls look so similar now. They looked like triplets standing there,
Mhm.
just with the long, long hair. They looked like they were straight out of the 70s.
Yes, they look like flower childs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, bring it back to Jumper. But
Yeah.
the whole thing, I will say this with the father's contribution. One of the sadder parts to me is that, or it's interesting. I won't say sad. It's interesting because if you look at Christine, the makeup of Christine's family with her mom, like her mom was basically the prototype to Christine's storyline because she was married in a polygamous family. She was the basement wife. Her dad took on another wife, and then eventually, when Christine's mom left, she was isolated and shunned from the rest of the family. And when when Christine left Cody, there was an expectation, I think, from Cody, Robin, and even some of the other family members, was that Christine was supposed to get shunned by the entire family. Nobody was supposed to talk to Christine after that, and she was supposed to be isolated and set alone. And when he complains about her taking the kids with her, that's part of the complaint. She should be getting shunned by the kids, and that's when he refers to the loyalty aspect. That's what he's talking about. And when you look at that and you see the father, because it's one thing for you to do it to somebody else, but to have somebody do that to your child, it creates a different element in the experience for him. So he's sitting here and he wants to, I'm a good guy and I was just in love with this woman. I really didn't mean to hurt your mom. But then you watch a man do the same thing that you did to her mom to your daughter. And then the sorrowness and the regretfulness that he had as he's talking to Christine about being unhappy and now finding happiness was kind of an interesting point for me.
Definitely. Definitely. Leo Temed says the entire Sister Wife series has been all about Cody and Robin's love story, but when there's one episode of someone else's love story, Cody and Robin were seething in jealousy. It's sad how bad they are at pretending. What do you think of that, Amanda?
Yeah, I think that they have dug themselves into a hole. Especially Cody, clearly has a big ego, so it must drive him nuts that all the women who are leaving are becoming fan favorites and getting wedding specials, and they're getting the kids still talking to them, and the fans all love them, and all the positive articles are about them, and all of his articles are like, Cody angry at producer, Cody not talking to his own kids. Like, I'm sure that he wants to be the hero. I mean, so in some ways, I identify with Cody. I have this big ego too. That's why I do YouTube.
Yeah.
I want to be the hero. We've all pictured ourselves saving, whatever the day or your loved one, and I think it's really hard. It's a tough position for him. But at the same time, I don't feel sorry for them because they will do nothing to make things better. They just make things worse and worse and worse. They double down.
And like I always say, they can always quit, but they won't because
Cha-ching!
bad press is still lining their pockets. So,
Right.
yeah,
they need the money, and that's why they're so desperate to try to change the narrative now because they enjoy the money. They just wish that they were more like Amanda said. They wish they were more the heroes. Like you said, they could quit. At the end of the day, I don't feel bad for them because had Cody taken the time to pay attention to what was going on in his house, he would still have his house. He lost his house because he wasn't paying attention. He took them for granted. He assumed that they would always be there because they couldn't leave. I don't think for him, I don't think it was ever a question of whether, if I don't do the right thing by them, they might actually go. You guys can go if you want to go. He basically kicked them out. If you my way or the highway. Wait, you're leaving? What do you mean you're going? Like that's kind of the attitude. Yes, I don't really feel bad for him at all.
Imzadi noticed that the three of us all have pink lighting in our background. We coordinate. We just fit together, the three of us. It just works.
So somebody in the chat earlier said we should start a polygamous relationship with the three.
James, we could be your sister wives.
There you go. I was talking about that earlier. Like I don't think that the part of the thing, because I have a video coming out later with talking about Janelle, and I think that part of the challenge of it is that we complain, like Cody complained about these ladies always being jealous of one another. Everybody's jealous, and that's why they couldn't get along. Everybody's crap sister wives. But I think that because it's so ingrained, there's no way that you could make, I like to think I'm a decent person and I try to make people happy around me. But at the end of the day, there's no way I could service multiple people's time, temperament, emotions, and manage all those different personalities at the same time. And because at the end of the day, somebody is getting shortchanged. Like, no matter how much I want to do everything for everybody, somebody is going to be missing out. And somebody's not going to get the things they need. And I think that that's part of what's built in, one of the built-in flaws of this type of relationship.
Yeah.
And to Cody's benefit, I think it makes it easier for him to jump to, I'm the real victim here. How could you be mad at me? I got tricked into this by my mom when I was like 20 or however old he was.
Right.
He can't say the same thing like Mary and Christine can say. But I think that points him more towards that direction of, he's the victim. Yep. He is, in a way. Nobody wins in this system, in my opinion.
I think Cody at one point was a victim of this lifestyle, and then I think he and Robin both saw themselves become perpetrators. So sometimes that happens. Do you think Robin's girls miss the family? I have to imagine that they do. I hope they do. How much do you think their confessionals that we saw, the Brianna's crying, like how authentic do you think that is? Do you think that they really feel that way, James?
See, the thing is that I think that if it would, everything being equal and even, I think that they would have an opportunity where they would feel a certain kind of way, the loss of not having a family around. But I also think that Robin and Cody, because they feel betrayed and because they intentionally want to keep them separate from everybody else, that they've poisoned them against a lot of the family. So the relationships would have been strained no matter what, because even when, in my feeling, this is me, I could probably go back and find some instances of it if I really look. But my gut feeling is that even when they were getting along on a ride home, Robin would turn around, look the kids in the back, look at their smiling faces, and say, none of them kids like you for real. None of them like you. I'm the only one that like you. So we got to keep it all here instead of focusing on them. If the second they start doing anything that doesn't necessarily involve or revolve around Robin and what she wants, all of a sudden, they're just trying to get you guys excluded. Hunter's going to a wrestling match. Like, what are you talking about? They're not excluding anybody. It's a team sport. They're not on the team. They don't even go to school with them. So they're not excluding them. Oh, no, see, he just doesn't want you around. So I'm sure they were getting a daily dose of that. So how much they actually miss the kids, I'm not sure. Because I know they were being poisoned from the start, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Liz says, I think Robin puts Cody's hair in curlers each night to get those ringlets. What a punk. In his interview, the couch interview, it was looking especially bouncy. I will give him that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he should do, because the curling iron will fry it, and he's got you gotta be careful.
Another potentially unpopular opinion. I'm just full of those this evening. This version of Cody's hair is maybe not the best, but definitely not the worst.
You mean the way he like meshed it together, like to cover up the middle spot?
No, I just think like the curls in general are not the worst. Now, I am a big proponent of just embracing the bald, I think. But, if Cody doesn't want to go there yet.
Easy for us to say, Sarah,
I know. I know. Yeah, as if I would ever embrace the bald if that was my destiny. So I get it. I can sympathize with Cody, but it's just a little. It is a little silly. It's a little silly.
Right.
Silly
Right.
string.
Well, I mean, I think that the funniest part to me is that clearly he has a perm, and he's acting like, oh yeah, I just get out of the shower and I just scrunch my hair, and all of a sudden I get ringlets. Like that's not how it works. Like, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I rub my eyes hard, they turn blue. Like it's just, like they're contacts. Like everybody knows what it is. Stop. But I think there's also that point where he has to come up with that image because even with his whole I had all this opportunity and I had this woman who I could have dated when I was younger and they was trying to get me. That's a throwback to what he was talking about with Robin when she first came into the family. She had all these opportunities and that's how you know what her value was. And so by him doing that, he's trying to raise his value, and him even talking about his hair is a way for him to raise his value. And just as a side note, I completely agree with you that this isn't the worst hairstyle he had because he had the madman look, the mad scientist look with his hair all long, and he had the I just stuck my a fork in the outlet look that looked like he got electrocuted. So this isn't the worst hairstyle of.
Then there was the time it was like shaved on the sides and he would like put it up in like a ponytail.
Right.
Apparently Janelle was it Janelle that really likes
Yeah,
the ponytail?
Yep.
Yeah.
Still going the ponytail.
Right.
Speaking of which, Christine looked really, really great for her wedding. Like the way they did her hair and makeup was flawless.
Yes, she looked great. I thought the girls looked good. Man, Isabel and Aspen are just two gorgeous, gorgeous young ladies. And McKelty, I really liked that I loved how they did the color scheme, how everything kind of went but wasn't matchy. Now, I would say, just to like nitpick a little bit, even though they didn't have like a uniform, I wish the gentlemen were coordinated a little bit better. Like we had Tony in like a slacks and a button down. Then Gabe was in like a bow tie, like a full suit. I wanted some more cohesion on the men's side. Let's do a quick fashion recap. How was it for you, Amanda?
Yeah, the first thing I noticed when they show all the guys going out is Tony. And I might be stealing this from the chat, but he totally looked like he's ready to go to the bowling alley and knock down some pins, not like stand up in front of a giant televised wedding. And I actually love Tony with the long hair. I think he looks much better with long hair, but he could have done something with the hair, some gel or a ponytail or something. He really looked to me like he rolled out of bed.
He had a shift at Walgreens. Yeah, it was like we had some of them in suits. Peyton was in a suit and tie. Gabe was in a suit with a bow tie. Then Mitch was in like a red button down tucked in. And then Tony, just not a tucked in shirt. And first of all, if I'm Tony and I've lost all this weight, I am cinching everywhere I can to show off what I have accomplished. So tuck that shirt in, Tony.
Show off the fabulousness. There you go.
Yeah, and then
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, James.
No, please.
Well,
I'm curious what you're going to say now.
I was just going to take a slight angle and say, everyone on social media, you already mentioned this, Sarah, was talking about Truly and her style. She is so unique. She reminds me of myself. I loved like trying to express myself when as everybody can tell, I still do. And I love the purple hair. I love her like oddness and the mother is here or whatever she said. I was like,
my children.
The children. But you know what? I always thought Truly was a bit of an odd bird, but she's very interesting to watch. Like even when she was a kid, like you see Truly, like she would always be in the background doing something that would just be like a little off, but it was hilarious or it was like super cute. So Truly, it's weird to me because we did have such a jump in time. So we see Truly like from small to all of a sudden she's a young lady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of like, what the shit? Like, wow, how old am I? Like, you know what I mean? So
we watched her be born.
Yeah, truly is the real marker for how long this show has been on the air, because her birth was in the first season. So it's
Right.
wild. I think I said in a video, I was like, I don't know where this grown young lady came from, because I certainly am not getting older. So I don't know
Right.
how truly all of a sudden became like a teenager. I'm trying to grapple
Yeah,
with
I
that.
don't want Truly to be on the show more because I just care about protecting Truly. But
Yeah.
selfishly, if I can like be some sort of guarantee that she's not going to get hurt by it, I want her a little more in the show because she's a comedic
Right.
lightness to it.
Oh yeah, and
Right.
she totally blew the whistle on her mom and David cohabitating
Yeah.
already. Like she had the receipts. She was spilling the tea. She is where we want to get
Yeah,
our
did that surprise you two?
They were living together? Nope.
Well, I'm like logistically no, but also yes in a way, because see, David comes from an LDS background. Do we know if he is still religious or if he's practicing? Christine says that she's not religious anymore. So I don't like how, like, what do they think of things like that?
I was shocked because she went through a lot of effort earlier in the season to be like, I will be looking at the ice cream, but I will not be eating all of the cone, like how whatever she said it as. I was like surprised. I'm like, oh, she shacked up with David. Okay. You know, where I come from, I'm a preacher's daughter. You do not admit to shacking up, to living in sin with your partner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you also got to keep in mind that it's been a minute since, and what do they say during World War II? Once you get the boys, how do you get the boys back on the farm after they seen the streets of Gay Paris? Like, she knows what she's missing out on. So, and David presents the opportunity for her to be able to do it. I think that to get into it a little bit, I'm not. I guess I'm a little surprised that they did it, especially as conservative as they used to say they were. But at the same time, you got Janelle with the wine rack in the back. You got Christine doing, chugging on the boat. So they're a long way from where they were when they were first introduced to us. But I will say this, just as me as a guy and as a father, obviously I'm a guy, but when I saw that and they said, yeah, they're living together and I'm living with them, a couple things hit me. One, this is the first time Truly and even Christine have had a full-time man in the house. This is
Yes.
the first time that she was around a guy who was in a fatherly role. And that kind of touched me a little bit, a certain way. But
Yeah.
then I remembered back to the tell-all when Mr. Cody was sitting there talking to Suki, and he had said, and I quote, "Oh yeah, I met David. I talked to him for like 15 minutes, and then Robin talked to him for the rest of the night. He seemed like a nice guy." This guy is living with your daughter.
Yeah.
You need to have a full conversation with this man to find out what he's about, what he's up to, how he's doing what, and so you can at least introduce yourself and make your presence known to this other guy who's going to be around your child full time. That's what I was thinking about when I heard that. Like, so I guess I might have missed a little bit of the controversy as far as them living together, because I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because I would have had a conversation with him. Like, if you won't be around my child like that, we need to talk. Because you need to know who I am. You need to know that, like, this is what, if she's doing the wrong thing, or, and you in the house, you got to do what you got to do because you're there, you're an adult, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, if it's an issue, it's a problem, my phone is always available. Here's my number. You can call me if there's a problem, there's an issue, or if there's anything going on, you can always talk to me. And you will want to express that. I don't think Cody got around to that in the 15-minute conversation he had with David while he was sitting there feeling bad, upset, and mad that Christine had moved on from him. And this is where he has to take himself out of the role of the slighted man who's been left by a woman and start to put himself in the role of a father who is concerned about his child. The same child he tried to keep Christine in Utah for because he wanted to spend so much time with her. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Let me crawl off my soapbox.
No, you are speaking facts. Tina says you guys are way smarter than the production crew of Sister Wives. Thank you, Tina. I vote you three take over production. I would be terrible at that, but
yeah, that would be really hard. But I would have a lot of great ideas. I'll generate some ideas, and you all implement them. Production,
right? Exactly. I would need like someone to actually like take my hand and be like, okay, this is how you do X, Y, and Z. Mary and Janelle are exes-in-law and ex-sis-in-laws and ex-sister wives. Sorry, I butchered that. Cody and Janelle are step-siblings. Oh, this is in regards to the wreath, the family wreath. Cody and Christine are fourth cousins. Cody and Robin's ex are third cousins. Odd. It is certainly, yeah. There is 6 degrees of separation or even less in a lot of these instances. Let's talk about Christine's dad. So Christine's dad was saying, and Jackie brings this up, Christine's dad said Cody cried to him saying he lost her. I wasn't sure because that's what I heard too. And I wasn't sure if I heard that correctly. So I actually rewatched the episode before we started the live. And that is what he was alluding to. I wasn't sure because her dad's, I'll be totally honest, and I hope I'm not like offensive. I wasn't sure if her dad was completely in his faculties. So how did you guys perceive that conversation?
Well, he was certainly either, mentally or at least like physically, he was definitely weakened.
Yeah.
I wonder like why we didn't get more of a lead up to, because you're right, it is like a little bit muffled, and then it's like all of a sudden he's saying this like really really interesting thing, and some people online had even said, did he say that Cody called him and this happened? And that's what you saw in your rewatch, Sarah?
Yeah, it was almost, so I took it like a couple ways. You could take it literally, like he literally called me and was crying that he lost you, which that would be weird. It wouldn't track with the Cody that we know on the show. Or like, because it was kind of like a half conversation that we were catching, I almost thought maybe he was saying like that's what he felt like Cody would be doing, or maybe it was like a hypothetical in some way. And then the other part of me was thinking, I don't know how old her dad is. I don't know what kind of illness he is suffering from. I don't know if he is mentally all within his faculties. That was just my perception of the conversation. That I wasn't sure like how seriously to take what he was saying. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, well, the chat thinks that he was all, a lot of people think that he was all there. But I mean, she says on the show that he's been sick for 15 years. So, if you're sick with any serious condition for 15 years, that's really tough. I don't know. What do you think, James?
Well, I think that like I'm right there with you guys. Like in one instance, could I see Cody calling him and crying about how she left him and he lost her? I could see that just from the respect of a last ditch effort to try to get her back. Because in his mind, in their system, she's not supposed to leave. And if she does leave, she's supposed to come back. Or if she leaves and she doesn't come back, she's not supposed to get married again. So him saying to somebody who could be potentially in authority, somebody who has a relationship with her, hey, I'm sorry, I feel bad I left her. I can't believe I'm actually losing her, because now once she gets married, she's gone. So, I can see it from that respect. I can see it not necessarily him crying and sad because he lost Christine per se, but the image of him not being a polygamist anymore because he likes the title, because he likes to be the thought leader of polygamy, where he's introducing the mainstream to polygamy. He likes to be the spokesperson, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have the part of it where he's such a weird dude that he can't have that loss for himself. He can't bear the fact that Christine left him. It's not just the fact that she left, just from the ego side of it. She left me. You know, when I'm trying to break up with her, and I'm telling her I don't want to come around anymore. Now all of a sudden she packs a bag and she leaves, or more to the point, she packs his stuff up and he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know.
I thought it was weird. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say interesting. I'm seeing several comments that people are thinking it was like a hot mic moment. Like he didn't realize Christine was or maybe he didn't like correlate like, oh, she's mic'd. What I'm telling her might be caught on camera or on audio type of thing. That's I never thought of that. That's an interesting take for sure.
Why do we not get Christine being asked about it, or even Cody? They had these like interview segments with Cody for whatever reason. So that would be an interesting time to say, hey, we got this clip of your previous father-in-law saying you called him in tears. Did that happen? Right. So I thought it was odd that we didn't get any commentary on it.
And if that in fact
Cody never meant that.
Yeah. And if that in fact did happen, I think definitely what I've been seeing in the chat, that it was more of like from the standpoint of like a bruised ego. This is going to make me look bad. Tell your daughter not to leave me type of thing. Like get her in line versus I am sad to be losing her type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, because there's also the weird part of like just spanning the universe out a little bit. There's also the weird part where, because he considers himself to be a thought leader, he presented polygamy to the mainstream. And actually, from what I understand, they were actually kicked out of the church because they didn't want polygamy to be in the mainstream. They don't want people talking about it, or at least to be in the forefront. So he went against the church there. Then he gets on the show, gets notoriety, becomes this, big name person, and he's basically what you think about when you think of mainstream polygamy, the Brown family, and he gets divorced. Not only does he get one divorce, he had 3 of his 4 wives leave him, which is an example of how the system doesn't work. So not only are you in a situation where you don't have the love and appreciation of the people that you married, but now you have a bunch of people who are polygamous saying you misrepresented our relationships, and now we're in a worse position than we were when you started. So he could be catching hell from some of his friends and people that he was talking to in that community who don't appreciate what they're seeing on TV. Because even from what I understand, even the Joe Darger and his family, they came down solidly on Christine's side. Even the one gentleman who did the My 5 Wives, he came down and said that Cody was a jerk, and he understands why Christine left. So it's just bad all the way around for him. Mm-hmm. Because we're not the only ones all I'm saying, long story long, I guess, but we're not the only ones criticizing him. He's also getting criticized by the polygamists. So you got the monogamous and the polygamists coming at him. So
he's in a lose-lose situation. He's made a real mess of things. Carla says, my first live. Where are your props, James? Do Cody with Robin hair.
Yeah, right. I was thinking about buying a wig and doing that, but I was like, nah, that might go too far.
Yeah. Rachel, thank you so much. Tiffany says, Sarah, I Gmailed you a pic of Cody's hair from Reddit. I will take a look at that.
Is it the one that's been floating around where you can see from the top down? I wonder if that's it.
Let me see. Hold on. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I've had a few of those on my, I've done a few thumbnails with those.
Oh, nice.
And I know if Cody sees any of my material, he sees that thumbnail, I'm sure I'm getting hate mail.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's bad times.
You know what I will say, because he does a good job for the most part of disguising that. Mm-hmm. He utilizes his sunglasses. I mean,
right.
He is really doing the thing with trying to make it appear like he has a full. I've had extensions in my day. I have done my fair share of trying to accentuate what God gave me. So I don't want to be in a glass house throwing stones or anything, but I'll give him props for that. It's not
I think
always
it's
so obvious.
if he wasn't such a mean jerk, to his own kids and to the wives, like that kind of gives us permission. Because like I gotta say, R.I.P. my granddad. I just flew down for his funeral, and he had the most obvious comb over his whole life. I mean, he lost it at like in his 20s, and he just did one side over and the other side over, and it was great. It was his thing, and
Right.
whatever anybody wants to do with their hair, we poke fun, but like. I respect you. I mean, people
Yeah.
make fun of this. Like, what am I saying? What am I standing here? I got 2 different colors hair.
Well, but you're exactly right. Like I obviously would never, I mean, hello, I'm not exactly the picture of physical fitness or anything. And I make it a point not to like make fun of people's physical, or I try not to make fun of people's physical appearance. But when Cody then sits in his interview and says that Janelle only wants him for his, great 6-pack abs, it's like, buddy, come on. Now my whole Facebook group is all about your abs. Like, what am I supposed to do?
He's teeing it up, We're seeing
so hard.
It's like, oh, I just beat them too hard. That's why I bulged out. I was just trying to get just slapping them.
Yeah, he doesn't have a 6-pack. He has a keg. But the whole thing with that too is that it's also on the tail end of, again, talking about like the tell-all and the historical portion of it, where Robin came out and she was sitting there talking to Suki during season 16's tell-all, and she talked about how Cody was such a wonderful man because he overlooked the fact that the women had weight gain, they had stretch marks,
Remember that.
and she was very liberal with talking about these women's physicality and how they looked and how they carried themselves. So because that's your friend and that's, go sit with your friend Cody, and because your girl did that, now all of a sudden it opens it up to where you can receive the same type of criticism that you were meeting out to other people. That, to be honest with you, that's the only reason why I go in on our cry brows and all that stuff. That's the only reason I really talk about it, is because if you can point that out about somebody else, you got to be able to stand in the box too. That's all it comes down to.
It's like, Cody, I'm sure, because McKelty has said on her Patreon that they don't get like super advanced copies of the episodes, but they do get it ahead of time, and that sometimes they'll ask for things to be taken out. I can't imagine. I don't know. You guys are right in the chat. I do give Cody too much credit. I want to imagine that there is no way he would be like, oh yeah, leave that in, my comment about Janelle only wanting me for my great pecs and my nice 6-pack abs. But maybe he did. And it's like the self-awareness on Cody seems to just be non-existent. It's like,
right,
he really lacks the like social, like, oh, this is how people might perceive me. This might not go over so well.
Well, because again, I think that this, like, even with talking about like the previous people that kind of liked you before you got married, I think that there's certain people, and I've seen this, well, more so when I was younger, but they value you based on what you look like as opposed to the content of your character. So if you look a certain way and you have a certain level of attractiveness, then that elevates your value to the family. That elevates your value as a person. And so when he's sitting there talking about, oh, I have 6-pack abs and I have great shoulders and a big old chest and I have this, that, and other, and then this is what makes me attractive. And I have all these women who beg to get into the family, pick me, pick me, pick me. Then what he's doing is he's trying to elevate his value to these other people by holding himself up that way. And that's where part of the refusal to let go of his hair, because he has to keep that value. The value's in the locks. So he's trying to keep them golden locks flowing. But, somebody's picking it. Mother Nature is picking them locks. I'm just saying. It is what it is.
Keisha says Cody is not going to have a conversation with David because he can't intimidate him. He's a coward in the end. Mm. Cody seems to do a lot of condescending towards, he punches down. It seems like he condescends to people he feels superior to, and that's a perceived superiority, not an actual superiority, but he perceives that he is on another level than his wives, so he feels like he could condescend to them. He does that to his kids, we see him do it to Suki in the tell-alls. But when I noticed, and people have pointed this out during that Mormon discussions or whatever that interview he did not treat those male interviewers the way he treats Suki during their in the tell-alls.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I think a lot of that too is just because they're tied into the community that he's trying to ingratiate. So
Sure.
I think he was using that Mormon Live podcast as a bridge for him to be able to reach out to that group, their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, because I've seen him, like, when he did the whole, I told you I'm not talking about Janelle in the wedding. He was yelling at a male producer or male director.
True.
But in that instance, that's somebody, even talking about the relationship difference, that's somebody he perceives to be below him. So he's the equivalent of the guy who would go to the store and yell at a cashier. You know what I mean? Because she's at work and you can stand there and hoop and holler and lose your mind, and you know that she's not going to come at you, or that person's not going to come back at you with the same energy that you're putting on them. And that's where Cody is. I don't think that he's going to say anything to David because there's not a whole lot he can say to David. And two, if David is in a better financial situation than he's in, and two, David, from what I understand, is a builder. And if he calls himself wanting to partner with David to build on Coyote Pass, David would be the guy that you would reach out to. I don't think David would do it, but but at the same time, I don't think that Cody has the self-awareness, kind of what you had said earlier, to realize that he's not going to sweet talk and smooth talk this guy into doing him a favor.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Amanda, we got love for your hat.
Thank you, everyone. Sarah, did you see Sarcasm for Fun's question about McKelty and Gwen being asked not to do their Patreon due to the look back and talk backs? Have they not been doing their Patreons?
Actually, no. McKelty is going live tonight. Actually, right now, she should be.
How dare she interrupt our live for her own live?
She was supposed to be doing that. Actually, I did not see Sarcasm's comment, so I apologize. But that is interesting because Gwen actually paused her billing since Christmas to just now. She just posted, I think, a vlog from her honeymoon, so it wasn't even really show related. And then Tony and McKelty were going to be reacting to the wedding special, so they weren't even touching that. So that could be true.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I can see TLC doing that though. I mean, it's completely illogical.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry. Lisa says Cody is a good speaker and was nice. If he played this right, he could be on Dancing with the Stars. How manic would that be? That poor, my heart goes out to whoever would get paired with him because they'd be liable to break a limb or.
Yeah, Cody dances like Elaine from Seinfeld. He is all over the place.
Well, he's moving his body. That's awesome.
Lady from Mars is showing some love.
Thank you. You know what's funny? Right. Anytime you search them on like a Giphy website or app on like Insta or whatever, the first thing that comes up for me is those like GIFs of them all like doing weird dance moves and like doing like a high five. It's creepy.
They used to feature that a lot during the earlier seasons. Like the season, that first episode is the whole opening montage is them dancing from his Robin's wedding, and he is like manically yanking Christine.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Christine's like
and Christina's like, and that is just such a perfect metaphor for like their marriage because Cody's like, we're doing this, and Christina's like, yeah, I'm having a blast, like, and then Christina's like, you know what? Nah, this really is
my neck is broke.
Yeah,
right, breaking my wrist.
Kika been very supportive in the chat tonight. Look at that 6-pack on Amanda's schedule update from the other day. Irresistible.
Yeah, it was a nice poochy 6-pack. It was not 6-packing.
Yeah. That's how my 6-pack.
Yeah.
I don't judge, but I'm also not sitting saying that is why people want me. I'm confident people want me for other reasons. Oh, I'm sorry. Here is sarcasm's question. And we just touched on that. And please hit the like for James, Amanda, and Sarah. That would be so lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this all together. And everyone here, let's hit the like buttons on these channels.
Thank you, everyone.
You, Deborah.
All right. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, as we just kind of wrap up here, I am just so glad. For all the times we've had tech issues with this storm.
Yeah, and it's snowing in Chicago too, so it like crazy weather everywhere today.
Spectrum's holding it down tonight. It was like they reinforced it, like bad storms are coming. We have a generator, so I was like, I will be able to have power, but I don't know if our Wi-Fi goes out, what I'll do. So MDS says, thanks for all the entertainment. When I watch all your videos on repeat, it's so nice because I feel like we all bring a little something. Amanda, you're definitely bringing the comedic relief. James, you are so insightful and you really get to the root cause of the issues and what their like personality defects are, if you will.
And Sarah,
I know a lot of weirdos. All right. And Sarah, you're bringing a personality as well. Sarah was driving a lot of the questions and a lot of the topics. So you get your props for that, organizing it.
Be here. And
that's
thank
what I
you
say.
So much. Let us wrap up tonight with Picture Check. I would have loved to see Cody and Robin reactions while watching the wedding. Me too. Christine has a real man now. The kids all adore David. I bet the anger and jealousy is eating that power couple alive. I will say, like, I felt a type of way. And the reason why I put out the video that I put out earlier is I felt it was unnecessary to play up this angle unless it is a reality, but I just don't really get the feeling that it is, that there's this idea that the kids are hesitant to accept David. I think, like we've talked about, yeah, we're adults. We're not going to call him dad because, you know, Aspen's like, I'm about to be 30. But right. Like, he's a good guy. Like, I don't, you know, whatever. Like, I like him for my mom, but he's not like, he didn't teach me how to drive or anything, you know, like things you think of like a dad would do. So I guess I just thought that was maybe unnecessary. What did you guys think?
Well, did you want to go, Amanda?
No, go ahead, James.
Oh, okay. I don't want to jump the rope, but the whole thing is that I think that when they talk about, because I covered this a little bit on Sunday, that when you talk about the step parent, that's what he is. He's going to be their stepfather, you know, and it's important, especially in this family with everybody marrying their cousins. It's important that you maintain and keep the titles going. Like, know who your people are. That is your stepfather. It's fine. But with that being said, I think that it's important to recognize the contributions of experience that you provide to the other people that you get involved with. So if he becomes the stepfather, he has nothing to do with them. Hey, that's still your stepfather, but be more than the title, because Cody is their father, but he's not their dad. You know what I mean? He's a sperm donor. Yeah, he helped to make them into human beings, but he's not participating or contributing to their life experience in any meaningful way. So the title doesn't mean anything. It's the relationship that you have with that person. And if it was such a struggle to have this conversation, because I agree with you guys, I think it was a production note that they had to create a storyline. But if I was sitting there listening to this conversation, my recommendation would be to these young ladies, don't worry about what you call them. You can call them Ted, Frank, Bob, John, Jim, whatever. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
If you just keep yourself open to the possibility of what this person can do and what they can contribute to your life. And if they're adding to your life, they're improving your life and they're enhancing your situation, then love them for that and for that contribution. If they aren't, then you do what you got to do. But don't close yourself off and don't get tied up into the name calling stuff. That would be my two on that.
Yeah, I don't think it's too important. And as some other people were saying, I do think the kids being in the episode, both of them, it's just such a breath of fresh air. You know, seeing all of them together as siblings, that is where the show started. We've gotten off that path because the kids have all grown up and, you know, because of other reasons. It seems like Robin doesn't want her kids on the show. A lot of the adult kids probably aren't getting paid enough, so they're doing the right thing. Like they need to be getting their own contracts. So that was just nice having the kids there and making it a warm, as was it you, James, who said earlier, it was like an easier episode to watch, which is how it was in the beginning.
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
Well, here's I'm sorry. Oh,
no,
here's
I agree.
Here's an interesting little twist, though, because even as you mentioned, like how the show started, the ironic part about it is the show started with us watching the entire family basically trying to become one family. What we're watching now is one family excluding Robin and Cody. So they're excluded from the whole situation and they're looking in on it. And TLC, here's a recommendation. I'll give it to you free of charge. This was on me. TLC, if you guys wanted to show us something that was kind of interesting, like you guys had mentioned earlier, they should have filmed them watching the damn show. Do a look back with them watching the wedding ceremony. That's what I want to see, because that's going to have all the cussing in it.
Yeah, watch Cody squirm while Maddie is just pouring tears down her face.
Right.
Like, David is he's so not Cody. You know, that's almost what it felt like she was saying.
Yeah.
Right. She's not loyal.
Sally, that 6-pack turned into a keg.
Right.
Lisa with the tea. Christine and David just showed up on McKelty's Live. The realities are colliding song. She spoke about her Twitter post. Okay, I'll have to go. That's what I'll fall asleep to tonight. That's for sure. Tanya, this is a good spot for us to end on. Thank you so much for the super chat, and obviously much love to everybody.
Yeah, I gotta take off this hot blazer. I'm dying.
Noticing Amanda, we were like opposites. Like,
oh yeah,
black on the bottom, black on top, and I was like black on the bottom, white on top. All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for being amenable to us doing a last minute change. Next week, the plan is Monday, 7 p.m. for the part 2 of Christine's big shindig.
The fireworks part.
Yes.
Right.
I think we're gonna see like a lap dance maybe by Christine.
Yeah. Well, you know, look, when you standing on the boat and you chugging beers and all of a sudden the Jägermeister come out, sooner or later somebody's doing a lap dance or dancing on the table. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
That is the recipe for success. For sure.
Right. Only thing that'll make it worse if everybody start doing tequila shots. Then it's game over.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
All right, everybody.